Welcome back to this week's episode of Mystery Garage. In this week's episode, we're going to tackle underneath the car, drop the tank, clean everything up, get ready for undercoating, so that way we can start thinking about throwing some parts back on it. Let's get to work. Welcome back to Mystery Garage. In last week's episode, we took apart the 8-valve ABA motor. We also slapped together or laid out a bunch of parts for the ABF build. I have since ordered a ton of parts and they're on their way already to start getting ready to get that motor built. But right now it's time to get the car ready, start thinking about getting the car ready to start accepting these parts when it comes time. So today's episode, like I said, we're going to drop the tank out of the car, get rid of some of the under bits, the accumulator and that sort of stuff that's underneath the car by the tank, and get ready to start stripping the underneath of the car and cleaning it up, finding any small spots of rust, get some POR on it. Once we've got some POR on it and we're happy that there's not going to be any future rust, we can then throw some undercoat under the whole car and get ready to start looking at potentially throwing some parts back on the car, underneath and drivetrain and that kind of thing. But for now, we've got lots of work ahead. It's been pretty dirty work at first, so let's get to it. Well, that was quite the process. As you can see now, it's actually very late at night. But getting at it, it takes a little bit of time to do it right. So let's quickly hop out of the car and show you what I've done. So what you can see that I've done is I've gone under the whole car and cleaned up as much as I possibly could, and went through and found any speck. I'll just show you. Found any speck that there was rust. Any imperfections in the current undercoat. The car was currently undercoated. You can see this is all undercoat, and there wasn't any reason to peel it all off. So what I actually did was found all the spots that might have imperfections, and you can see I cleaned each spot and then put POR there. The shift here, and you can see under here is actually really clean, but there were certain spots that had little bits of surface rust. So again, cleaned it all off with the wire wheel. Went through and coated it all with POR. So now it's time to let the POR dry for the night. Obviously it's fairly late now, but as you can see, that's where we are now. I'm gonna leave it for the night to dry, and we'll check back again soon. All right, it's a couple days later, and actually very late at night. It's after work, kids are asleep. It's time to get at it, and you got to make time for this kind of stuff. So what we're gonna do is, because I'm spraying the undercoat in such a big area underneath the car, it does tend to make quite a mess with overspray. So I need to get underneath there and grabbed a bunch of stuff to help tarp it all off so I don't make a huge mess on my floor, as well as shoot overspray all over the garage. So let's get to work setting everything up. Okay, so I didn't have to go crazy on this stuff because it's not that bad. It's not like it's dusty or anything. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. If you just drift off the paint or off where you're painting just the slightest, the spray will continue to stay constant. And because it's thick and wet, it'll just spray kind of everywhere that you don't want it to go. So what I've done is I've completely tapped off one side of the car. So I haven't taped everything. I've just kind of hung it over the side, so I'm not going to spray any of my toolboxes or my floor. Same deal to the back. I hung it up the front of the, so let's get right under here. I've hung it up the front of the whatever you call those things, sawhorse, there you go. So I can spray the entire car without having to worrying about getting out too far in behind and on my bins and that kind of thing. So what we've got up here is all the preparation that I've done before. You guys see it's all dried now. It dried out really well. It's super hard and bondable. It's what we're looking for. So now that we come under here, we're gonna go ahead and spray everything to make sure it's all fully coated. I'll do my best to kind of film the process if I can, at least getting it started. All right, let's get to work. All right, there we are. We got one side of the car done, and then I had to switch. We're gonna have to do the other side now, just because I had to open the garage door too. The vapors just got so intense. Crazy thing is it's like midnight right now, and it's cold outside, so I gotta try and minimize the amount of time the garage door is open. But the vapors, because it's almost like I don't know, it's just like an intense chemical vapor smell, so you do open the door. But anyway, we'll keep going on this and I'll get the other side done, so let's get to it. All right, well, that was messy. Let's take a look at what I did. So I don't know how to describe it any other way than what you see here. You can see the overspray pattern on this tarp. It's just a really sticky material. So what happens is when it falls heavy. And as I was rolling around on here underneath the car, my jacket was sticking to it, and it's just a really, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a really sticky rubberized material. So that's why I obviously threw up these drop cloths. But if I didn't do that, this material is basically impossible to remove, and I would have it all over my floor. It would be all over everything around the equipment and that sort of thing. So it's very important that when you're doing such a large surface like that, you lay something down. But you can see the mess that it's made. That's all now not dried, but it's all stuck there. So it's not like it's paint, like it's flaky and dusty and dries off. That's like a rubberized hard material. So anyway, all right, let's take a look at what I've done. I have the light under here with me, but what you can see here is now I've coated the entire underside of the car, and it makes a really good, well-balanced undercoating that will, like I said before, stand the test of time. It's really evenly coated. I got pretty much everywhere I could on the car. It also is a material that gives you a pretty good sound deadening. The one thing that's hard to work with when doing this is using a light underneath, because when you're casting the material up onto the paint, it falls down, kind of, so to speak, and it ends up coating your light. You can see I got light all over my light now. You have to work with your light pretty far away to ensure it doesn't kind of cast down onto your light, otherwise it's going to ruin the surface of your light and it's not going to be as effective anymore. So I did a great deal of this without lights, and then I go through afterwards and make sure there's nothing I missed. I will be doing the wheel wells at a later date for anyone who's going to ask me, but I want to get in there and clean everything up real nice before I start tucking stuff in there. But as far as it goes, I'm pretty happy with this. So what I'm going to do is, because everything's still wet, I'm going to let it dry overnight, and we'll come back one more day and take a look at it once it's dried up. All right, so I've cleaned up for the night. Like I said, we'll let it dry up, and it's now probably 2:30 in the morning, so I gotta work in a couple hours, so we'll call it a night, and tomorrow we'll check back. So it is a new day. I'm back from work, and I am super stoked with how it turned out. So let's take a look. So all in all, very happy how this turned out. You know, the benefit of using this product is also, once you go and modify anything, you can come back and recoat it and it'll all match perfectly. So any touch-up work or anything like that I can do, or I need to do in the future, very easy to do. And then things like, you know, this wheel well and that sort of stuff, I'll end up doing that off camera. just because you don't need to see more of the same thing. But overall, very happy with how it's come out, which means basically from front of the car all the way to the back, it's all taken care of. It's all covered. I'm going to do inside of the arches separately off camera, like I said. So we're getting ready to start thinking about putting some new stuff in. Before we can ever put the beam in, we need to put the fuel system back in. So what do I have here? On the floor, I got a fresh fuel system ready to go in. We got a brand new fuel tank. I ended up painting up that heat shield that's on it for the exhaust. And I got the 2 new stainless steel tank straps and the filler neck. Also have the little new pieces that go in between, such as the hose and all that sort of stuff, as well as the vent piping. You know, all that's out of camera, but everything's getting ready to go back in. I do want to do a little bit more of the interior floor work before we go and throw that tank back in, but it's really all we have left until we move on to the actual bodywork on the car. So probably next episode we'll get to doing the floor. Then we'll really start to play around with the engine bay, because sooner than later those engine parts should get here for us to build this ABF. So pretty excited about that. So that's about it for this week's episode. Thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed what you see. If this is something you're into, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. You know, I do release a new episode every week. Love to hear your guys' feedback, your comments. But until next time, take care.